guys, it's Emma and I'm back today for you with another video, and today we're reviewing a book, alright? And the book that I want to review for y'all today is Lucy Undying by Kiersten White, alright? This is a Dracula novel, and it is about Lucy Westenra and her essentially living as a vampire, and her kind of finding out who she is as a vampire as she goes through history, you know, kind of changing from that woman who used to be from the 1800s. And as we go into the 21st century, she meets a woman named Iris who is running from her own family, and it's basically all about their romance and Iris's past coming to affect both of them. So the content warnings that I have for this book are gore, death of a loved one, sexual assault, abuse, and that includes child, emotional, and physical abuse, as well as content surrounding suicide. Before we actually get into the review, can we just take a moment of silence, a communal moment of silence for this cover? All right, it's gorgeous. All right, just the beauty of Lucy juxtaposed with the horror of the wolves in her hair. I love it. All right, so this is going to be a spoiler-free review for Lucy Undying. All right, so before we actually get started, I would really appreciate it if you guys would look down in the description box for all the links there that I have for you guys pertaining to stuff going on in the world right now. And those links will be down there for you guys to interact with and to share. And then down in the comment section, let me know whether or not you guys have read this book, whether you liked it or disliked it, whether you agreed or disagreed with anything I had to say in this video. Whether you like vampire books, whether you like Dracula, yada yada yada. Right, so with that being said, let's just get running into it. The first pro that I have for this book is how gothic and tragic it is. You really get the fact that vampirism is a metaphor for abuse or abuse of power dynamics or just power dynamics in general. You can really feel the sadness, the hopelessness, the dread, the anxiety, the anger, the betrayal that all of his vampires that he's created feel towards Dracula. The gothic stuff in here honestly was my favorite part of the book. It just made this book so enjoyable. You really felt like you were there on the cliffs of England when it's really rainy and it's stormy and it's just beautiful atmosphere. This is also a historical fiction novel, all right? So there are obviously historical aspects in here that I really enjoyed. All right, I enjoy historical fiction, and we see a lot of stuff from history, particularly the World Wars. My second pro is the quotes. Okay, the quotes in here are gorgeous. All right, for example, on page 4, it doesn't matter how many times he started this dance over the centuries, how many yous there have been, because it feels new to him every time when it's right. And every time, for him, there is only you. There has only ever been you.
Not me, not Hermione, you.
And then on page 9, dear, dear mother, who loves like a knife, slicing me into ever smaller pieces until I'm exactly the shape that pleases her the most. I love the prose of this book. The prose of this book, I feel aids in how just gothic it feels. It's so good. My third pro is the characters that I liked. Lucy, I honestly wanted this book to just be about her. All right, I loved reading her point of view. And because this is a Dracula novel, we see so many of the original Dracula characters, for example, Van Helsing, Arthur Holmwood,
Lord and Lady Holmwood,
Jonathan Harker, Mina Harker, etc., right? And again, to keep this as spoiler-free as possible, there's a character in here who's kind of twisted, and like their entire character from the original book is twisted and made even more sinister when it comes to Lucy, and I really appreciated that. All right, now the cons. All right, and my first con with this book is the writing. All right, the writing in Lucy Undying is not subtle whatsoever. It's not discreet. It's very obvious. It's very heavy-handed, most, if not all of the time. All right, and this causes the reader not to be able to come up with their own conclusions. Because this writing is so obvious, sometimes it comes off as obnoxious. And because this writing is obvious / obnoxious, it comes off a lot of the times as pandering and or condescending. And it's really not helped by the dialogue, which a lot of the times is just cringe. All right, and it's unfortunate because we'll get to Iris's character in a moment, but most of the dialogue that is cringy belongs to Iris, which I gotta say, is probably what made me not really like her. I guess the dialogue is supposed to make her quirky, but I think we all know what I mean when I say quirky, all right? It's unfortunate. My second con with this book is the weak villain. Dracula is the villain of this book, and throughout the entirety of it, he feels inconsequential and cartoonish. This entire book, we are seeing the after effects of Dracula's meddling with women's lives, right? Because the only people that he changes into vampires are women, all right? I.e. the abusive power dynamics and the Gothic metaphor of vampirism being a metaphor for abuse, right? So this entire time we're hearing about the trauma that all of these vampires have gone through because of Dracula. We're supposed to think he's scary, that he's formidable, that he's awful. We're supposed to be scared of him, but we're also supposed to hate him, right? We're supposed to take him seriously. And then when we finally get his point of view, when we finally see how he thinks, how he functions, how he acts, how he feels towards people, yada, yada, yada. His monologues, his points of views in general, the entire thing is hammed up and over-exaggeratedly misogynistic, chauvinistic, etc. It just comes off as so cliche and so cringy, okay? Because again, the entire time we're supposed to think this dude is scary. We're supposed to hate this dude. We are supposed to think this dude is a formidable opponent. And yet, his monologue, all right, and his entire point of view essentially consists of this. Ew, women, grr, I hate. And the fact that even the ways that we hurt him or drive him away are so quick and easy to do and happen in like maybe a page at the most, all right, just further makes him feel so cartoonish and inconsequential, all right? Because if he was such a big bad dude and yet these things to defeat him or to use against him are so easy to do and find out, why the hell weren't we doing that in the first place? And then my third con with this book is probably the one that keeps me up the most at night, all right? And that is the fact that the final third of this book completely tanks it, all right? Because it is too slow, because it is too long. If this book had been cut down by about 100 pages or so, it had been perfect. All right, the fact of the matter is this book is too damn long for the story that it's trying to tell. And it's such a damn shame.
My disappointment is immeasurable. And my day is ruined.
It does not help in the slightest that this book, the plot, gets way too convoluted, all right? I feel like this book tries to do way too much at one time, especially at the very end, all right? And it shoots itself in the foot. My fourth con with this book is the triple timelines. All right, now listen, I love me a good dual timeline, okay? Now, this triple timeline, I think this is the first time I've ever encountered something like this, and it was almost a little bit too much. Normally with a dual timeline, what happens is the timelines run parallel to one another for maybe 75, maybe even 80% of the book, and then they merge, right, at one big climactic point, and then so on and so forth, right? I think my most blaring example of the problem with this triple timeline is when two of them mingle, all right, prematurely, in my opinion. We would be reading Lucy's diary entry right there, right? And then immediately the chapter afterward, Iris is reading out the exact scene that we just read, that we just digested. Why are we doing that? All right, so one, why are we rehashing scenes that we've literally just witnessed? All right, those rehashing scenes honestly could have been the things that we cut out, and that would have been 100 pages worth. And bam, probably would have fixed the damn book. But who am I to say that? And then second of all, Iris would comment essentially to the reader, all right? Hence why I said earlier this writing is so obvious and it comes off as pandering and so heavy-handed, all right? Because Iris would essentially comment to us, to the reader, all right, about what she thought of the diary entry. And it feels like the author is spoon-feeding us as if we can't understand context clues, all right? That's honestly something I'm kind of getting peeved with nowadays. I wish authors would write books that don't treat their readers like they're stupid, all right, because it's insulting. And I genuinely felt that way for a good bit of this book, all right, because I don't need you to spoon feed me context clues that I literally figured out 2 pages ago. It just feels weird to do that, to have your timelines mingle beforehand in such an obvious way, all right? It was done kind of awkwardly, all right? And it just makes your reader feel stupid. And there's more timelines, all right? It's like we get rid of maybe 2 of them, 2 more appear, one of them merge. It's wild, all right? This book really does a little bit too much, all right? And the timelines really don't help with that. Often, I think the timelines highlight the stuff that's wrong with this book, i.e. the fact that it's too long, the fact that we're rehashing scenes, all right, and the writing. And then my 5th con, all right, is with the characters that I didn't like. And unfortunately, as much as I liked reading about Lucy, there were some things about her character just in general that bugged me. All right, throughout the entire book, all right, especially with the points in history, when the historical fiction aspects come in, it seems like Lucy is kind of just plopped into all these historical points just so that, you know, she can like do something that's supposed to be heroic, but really is so hammed up to where it's just trying to make Lucy look like a badass. All right, and this happens throughout the whole book. All right, like at one point, all right, she's learning how to fight. She tells us, she doesn't show us, she tells us. That's another pretty big problem with this book. It's a lot of telling and not showing. But Lucy tells us that in 4 pages, she has learned how to fight so efficiently that now she can essentially tackle and kill vampires much older than her and much more skilled. What?
The hell am I looking at here?
Stuff that she does throughout history feels way too easy. All right, I liked the historical aspects. Please don't misunderstand that. But I felt like they were haphazardly handled and so hammed up in order to just make Lucy look, not even feel, look like a formidable character when there was really no growth to merit it. All right, honestly, the historical fiction aspects in this book felt kind of just like pop-ups, just for Lucy's bravado, if that makes sense. I did not care for Iris, like at all. I tried to like her, didn't work, okay? Just, again, she comes off very cringe. It's most of her dialogue that's cringe throughout this book. And just, again, I guess she's supposed to be quirky. A lot of times she just comes off as mean. Like, girl, I don't know what to tell you about that. My 6th con, all right, is the romance. It wasn't very well done. It was insta-lovey. It didn't feel like there was any development. We kind of just jumped right into a relationship, all right? They met one another, and then immediately they were like, oh my gosh, yeah, no, I'm in love with you. And the relationship felt like, you know, they were 2 months into dating one another, when y'all have literally known each other for 2 hours. Also, they were literally obsessed with one another. And when I say obsessed, all right, I don't mean the cute little, oh, y'all are so obsessed with one another, y'all cute. No, obsessed in the way that is not healthy, all right? They literally, at some points, base their worth on their relationship with one another. That's not good, okay? It's not healthy, it's codependent, and I just didn't feel any of their chemistry up until maybe the 75% mark. Mind you, this was after they'd already said, oh yeah, no, I'm in love with you, I want to run away with you. I just felt like their romance in general was just overall very rushed. And again, it's so disappointing because there was such potential here. I gave Lucy Undying 2 stars. I actually really enjoyed this book, all right? I still truly recommend it, okay? I really enjoyed the first 2/3 of this book. It's just that, unfortunately, for me, it really went off the rails towards the end. And it really needed some serious editing. So you guys, that was my review for Lucy Undying. I hope that you've enjoyed. Like I said, I still really do recommend it. If this seems like something you would like, totally pick it up. It's Gothic, it's got a lesbian romance, it's got historical fiction, all right? It's a Dracula, I would say almost retelling in a way, I don't know. Tread carefully there. But nevertheless, you guys, I hope that you enjoyed. I hope that you guys will continue to look out for more stuff on my channel. I hope that you guys are staying safe. And lastly, I hope that you guys have a great rest of your day. Goodbye.